Godzilla is no stranger to the small screen, having appeared in several different television shows over the years. And when he does, he is usually the protagonist. But Zone Fighter changed this by having Godzilla as a supporting character. Zone Fighter was a television series broadcast only in Japan which featured a Toku Satsu Kaiju style, that is, giant monster fights. It was produced by the Toho Eizo and Man Sha Studios, and aired on Nippon TV during 1973. As such, the series is part of the Showa Era by showing us the Godzilla, Gigan and King Ghidorah of that time, for which is also part of the canon of films from that era. However, Nippon TV decided to cancel the series after 26 episodes due to low ratings and the story was left unfinished. Zone Fighter arrived at a strange time in Toho's history. The 1970s had drastically changed the landscape of kaiju films. The debut of shows like Ultra Q and 1966's Ultraman meant that kaiju were now on TV every week. This was also the beginning of the rise of the henshin hero genre, which led to the birth of shows like Kamen Rider and Android Kakader. This, along with the oil crisis and economic recession, meant that Japanese families ventured out to the movies less and stayed home to watch television, leading to Toho films making less money at the box office. For this reason, Toho decided it needed to venture into the TV hero market. In 1972, he tested the waters with Rainbowman and Go Godman before beginning work on a new project. This project was headed by several people who had made many of Toho's film proposals, including Ishiro Honda, the director of the first Godzilla film, and the director of Godzilla vs. Gigan, Jun Fukuda. After going through several names and concept changes, they settled on Zone Fighter and production began. The series hit the screens in 1973 and followed the Zone family, which would come to mean something like the Meteor family in Spanish. While the Zone family seems like normal people, they are actually aliens from a planet called Peaceland. That world was a lovely place until it was invaded and destroyed by an evil race of aliens called Garoga. However, when the Garrigan army sets its sights on Earth, the Zone family is forced to fight to protect the planet from certain destruction. This group uses a wide variety of weapons and vehicles to stop the invaders, but their best weapon is their eldest son, Hikaru, who can transform into the giant hero Zone Fighter, who bears a strong resemblance to Ultraman. Zone Fighter is capable of increasing or reducing his size at will, has 2 missile launchers on his wrists, and can launch a powerful energy beam from the antenna on his head known as the Ryusei Proton Beam. His signature moves are the Ryusei Kick, Ryusei Windmill, Ryusei Punch and the Ryusei Jet, which allows him to move at super speed. As the episodes pass, it is explained to us that Zone Fighter obtains his powers from sunlight, which recharges his energy between each battle. At the beginning, the series followed the typical approaches of the Henshin Hero series, but in the 4th episode, the plot takes a surprising turn by showing us Godzilla in the episode, Invasion. Garoga's Grand Army. Godzilla appears, confirming that Zone Fighter took place in the same universe as the Godzilla films. During a fight against the monsters Spyler and Wargilgar, it seems that the Zone family is doomed. In a last desperate attempt, the family's daughter sends a robot to seek help. Android found the king of the monsters and lured him into the fight. With his help, the Zone family manages to destroy the invading monsters. Godzilla later befriends the Zone family and fights alongside them in several episodes and also helps train the Zone Fighter. However, in response, the Gargone army would take control of Godzilla's former enemies, King Ghidorah and Gigan. King Ghidorah faced Zone Fighter. Typically, villains tended to die at the end of each episode, but as one of Toho's most popular kaiju, the 3-headed dragon was the exception to this rule. For its part, it is explained to us that Gigan was captured by the Garogas after his fight with Godzilla and Jet Jaguar in Godzilla vs. Megalon. However, he did not share King Ghidorah's fate and was killed by Zone Fighter's special attack, Meteor Missile Might. Supplemental material released by Toho confirmed that Zone Fighter takes place between Godzilla vs. Megalon and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. So if you've ever wondered why Gigan didn't return after escaping Jet Jaguar at the end of Godzilla vs. Megalon, it's because Zone Fighter killed him in episode 11. With the help of the King of Monsters, Zone Fighter managed to defeat the terror beasts and the Garoga decide to leave Earth now. For their part, the Meteor family swears that they will be alert to protect their new home if they are ever needed. However, these characters did not appear again and were not mentioned in the subsequent Godzilla films. Despite the interesting proposal, the popularity of the Toku Satsu shows and the inclusion of Godzilla, Zone Fighter was plagued by low ratings and, after episode 26, Nippon TV opted not to renew the series and left the main plot unfinished. These days, Zone Fighter is practically forgotten. Those who do remember it do so more for the inclusion of Godzilla, rather than for its actual story or characters. Today, it is extremely difficult to find Zone Fighter episodes on the internet, not to mention getting them with Spanish or English subtitles. However, with series like Godzilla, Singular Point bringing back many of the saga's classic characters, perhaps we will eventually see the Zone family team up with Godzilla once again. If you have seen the series, tell us what you thought of it and if you think it was on par with shows like Ultraman, Kamen Rider or Super Sentai. This is the Zilla channel and we will see you in the next video.